Hey second graders, this video is going to give you the directions on how to draw your Vincent van Gogh flower still life composition. So get out a black crayon, turn your paper vertically tall ways for this one, and write your name itty bitty in the corner. Okay, so I've got my name teeny tiny in the corner in case I make a horrible mistake drawing out flowers. And my composition, I can always flip my paper over. But we're going to start by drawing the flowers first because the flowers are the most important thing in our picture. We want them to be biggest. Once we have our flowers filling up most of our space, then we can add the small vase and the table and work on backgrounds. But since the flowers are most important, let's go ahead and do those first. We're going to draw some organic shapes that aren't perfectly perfect for our flowers, and we're going to make sure that they overlap. So I'm going to start by drawing a flower, just a simple flower. Sunflowers have smaller leaves, so I'm going to give mine a zigzag, but you can give yours a bumpy line or longer leaves. It's up to you. And already we can start overlapping. I'm going to draw extra petals behind the petals that I just did. That makes the flower look a little fuller and kind of gives the idea of more petals. Now if I'm going to draw another flower overlapping, I would draw a circle, but not the whole circle. This flower is going to be in front of this one here. So again, I'm going to draw a double layer of petals. And then there's a couple different ways we could draw flowers other than just the simple circle shape in the middle. We could draw more of an oval shape and think over seeing the flower more from the side. Lots of petals. We could even draw, like in Vincent's, some of the flowers are totally from the side. So to do that, I would do a curved line to be the middle part of the flower. And then around the sides is where I would put some petals. And then that would be the middle part. And then the petals would be all around it. Maybe even some peeking out from behind. So middle part of the flowers, the petals are going around it, but we're looking at it from the side. So we might see the back of the flower in this one. We'll do stems later, but that one we might see the stem. I'm going to leave about the space of my hand at the bottom. This is where I'm going to put my vase, but I do want to make sure we've got lots and lots of flowers. So I'm going to keep drawing flowers overlapping and making these fun zigzag organic shapes like flowers in real life. I'm going to fast forward and then we'll talk about that base. Okay, and before base, we do want to fill the space with a few more stems if you have room and leaves. My flowers are all kind of on top of each other, so I don't really see any of these stems, but I can add a few leaves just by doing a bent line like that, and I'll put a line down the middle so I remember that those are leaves later when we're coloring. And anywhere I've got some space, I could put a few of these leaves peeking out. And we'll do these leaves, we'll color these leaves with some different kinds of greens. You can even think of those middles of the sunflower sometimes have doubled up circles in the middle. Okay, so for my vase, if I want to do one kind of like Vincent's, really all Vincent's vase looks like is it's a bent line that direction and a bent line that direction too. I don't even think we can see the top of the vase in Vincent's, but we'll do the top of the vase in this one. So this one, we don't see the top of the vase. This one, see the flowers are all on top of it. You can't see the opening of the vase at the top. But we'll do the bottom with just a straight line across. And for our table, we're going to do that ground line, horizontal line that goes across behind the vase. And that's all we need to draw. I'm gonna put another leaf maybe back here, a couple extra leaves so it's not an empty spot. And that's all we're going to draw with our crayon. When you're done with this part, put your crayon away, and we're going to use oil pastels for everything else. All right, we're going to start coloring the flowers first. Again, they're most important, so we're going to color those first, so we spend a lot of time on them. We're going to use only warm colors. So the warm colors are orange, brown is a dark orange, and peach is a light orange, red, and where is my yellow? And before we start, let's look back at Vincent's. His sunflowers are not just yellow with brown middles. Now, to get started, we're going to use oil pastels. We're not going to color with them like they're crayons. Oil pastels are really little sticks of paint. So when we color, we really spend time and rub those colors in. So we leave a nice thick layer of color on our paper. If we go fast, it doesn't look like paint at all. If we take our time, it'll look like we painted this picture. So I'm doing the middle part of this flower with all warm colors. And I'll do the petals. I'll start with yellow, but I'll mix a couple colors into the petals in just a second. I'm really trying to not miss any bit of this brown paper. I want it to be all covered with beautiful bright colors. So I'm trying to stay in the lines and really rub that color in. If I don't rub it in, it doesn't get nearly as bright. And then to mix colors, if I wanted to add some orange into my petals, I could just do a little line of orange going out each petal. Or I could color the background petals with orange. And if I color back over with the yellow, that'll mix that orange in. And it'll be a nice yellowish orange, which works good for sunflower petals. I could make things lighter with white. So my middle part of my flower, maybe I wanted to add another circle in the middle of a lighter brown. I'll just get that white out and turn that brown a little lighter in the middle. Just the same, I can make things darker with black. I think I'll save that for the leaves because I don't know that I want to mix black into my yellow sunflowers. Okay, so I'm coloring all of the sunflowers and okay, once you have all your sunflowers finished, still touching up, then we're going to color our leaves and our stems with green. And you may have two greens in your oil pastel box, but you can also use white to make the greens lighter and black to make those greens darker. So they're going to be all green, but they're not all going to be the same kind of green. So same as I did for my sunflowers, I'm going to rub those colors on nice and hard, nice and thick. I'm going to do this whole space back here because I'm thinking that's probably good. All leaves and stems. And I can make my green darker. Thinking this is back behind all these flowers. Maybe it's darker back there. Shadows maybe. By coloring just a little bit of black. Not a ton, because black is pretty dark. It takes over. And then I'm going to rub that green back over top to mix it in. Makes it look smoother and nicer. Now look, I did not color the stem, so the stem looks like it's a little bit lighter coming out the side here. And the same with the white. You can use white to make the greens lighter. I do is I rub that white on top of the green to mix it in. So I'm going to use lights and darks of green to color all my leaves and stems. Okay, now for the base and the background, you can really use any kind of colors you want because we already have our emphasis and our contrast with our warm colors with our cool color green around them. But I'm going to use a lot of cool colors in my background up top, but down below you can color the vase any colors you like, and you can color the table any colors you like. That will be your choice. But for this background up top, we are going to use some cool colors to create that contrast. The different colors next to each other really make objects stand out in self-portraits, really make objects stand out in still lifes in any composition. So I'm going to color my background blue. Maybe you want to use blue or purple, maybe green, but we've got a lot of green already in our flowers. So I'm going to be really careful coloring these big spaces in my background because I do not want to go over my leaves and my flowers. So I'm kind of making a frame, kind of framing in my space before I go all at it, and then I can fill in the middle. And that frame kind of helps me stay out of the flower's way. I'm going to mix some white into my blue. If you're wondering why I was not pressing too hard with that blue, it's because I knew I was going to go back over it with the white. I'm going to do that same frame trick because I don't want to smear into my flower we worked so hard on. And so now I've got all my boxes checked. I've got warm sunflowers like Vincent Van Gogh. I've got overlapping shapes with my organic sunflower shapes, and I've got that contrast and emphasis because I have blue behind or around all those warm colors, which really makes those stand out. So I've done everything that I need to do. I just need to finish coloring. So I'm going to finish my vase and my table, and then we're going to outline with black. And then finally, I'm going to grab a black oil pastel and outline, trace over those crayon lines that we started with. And that will make things stand out a little bit more. If you don't have time for this step, it is okay. But it will help your flowers stand back out since we did color right over top of all that black crayon when we were painting with our oil pastels. And trace just means put your black on the line and keep it on the line. So take your time. Don't rush. Don't rush your tracing. The final thing I'm going to do is sign my artwork. You're welcome to sign it at the bottom like artists typically do, but I'm going to sign mine just like Vincent signed his, and I'm going to sign it nice and neat on the vase. Perfect place.